Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello MJ friends, hope you're doing well. We're going to look at a whole bunch of tickers, some new names here today. Before I get into it, sometimes people ask me how they can tip me for my free content, which I appreciate, and they appreciate. I usually tell them to donate it. In this instance, we have a member who shared this with me, someone very close to them. Zach has a very rare form of leukemia, so they're raising money to get him sent to the United States to get treatment and potentially save his life. So if you have appreciated the free content in the past, this is a way to do good things and pay it forward. So we're going to look at CGC, we're going to look at the usual suspects, and then we have this trio of crazy running names, and we'll talk about those there at the end. But basically right now, the sector is continuing to consolidate. One by one, the days are ticking away as to when the first day of sales are. We are now looking at 11 trading days until then. So in my opinion, every single day that goes by, and every single day that isn't green, we're seeing a little more people saying, well, maybe I better lock in some profit. Maybe we aren't going to run. So we do see that sentiment slightly shifting where, when things were all hyped up, everybody's looking for a major, massive sector run into October 17th. And now I think, the realization is coming into play that that might not be the case. So we haven't seen 2 green days in a row on CGC in 3 weeks. Let that sink in. I just was astounded when I just looked at that and counted. 3 weeks without 2 green days in a row. That's not a sign of a ton of strength. So we're holding up really well, all things considered, with that fact, but it's worth noting. So right now we're looking at the daily uptrend potentially in play here to be lost. Tomorrow's an important day for the sector. Short term, of course. 48.42, 48.02, and then 46.20 are our support levels. Below 46.20, there's a lot of space to the downside. So what we have is a tightening range that is on the verge of a bear break. We have a daily inside bar today. Today was a very, very clear signal that the bears had control. And how is that the case? Well, we started the day very strong, looked pretty good for the bulls. Speaking of which, whoever bought that Dre dump, very well done. That was an exaggerated reaction, and a lot of people recognize that. And really, when you have that kind of dump at the end of the day, and you see that kind of volume, number one, obviously stops are triggering, but it's the kind of thing where if I see that happening and I'm sitting in my computer and I don't know that it's about a Dr. Dre trademark, I sell because, sell first, ask questions later for me. If I see that kind of dump, I say that's news related. And obviously it wouldn't have worked in this instance. It would have been a bad decision, but that's not often the case. So a significant recovery, but where did we reject? We were watching this equilibrium heading into the open on the hourly because it was a very clear pattern. And that was what was going to guide us on the day. So let's put extended hours on here on CGC. We have the low, high of the bull move, higher low. There's our rejection. And that happened today. And we knew as soon as that hit, I was in a bullish position. I entered a bullish position at 50.85. And I said, all right, I'm going to give the bulls a chance to break this resistance level, have a really nice profitable trade. And we rejected from 51.15. I saw this resistance at 51.21. I said, all right, bulls, take a breather, give it another go, but you better break it the second time. And the second time they rejected from 51.10, I sold it break even and then went on to trade other things today, mostly Tesla. But that was my clear signal. Bulls don't have it. And, they could have definitely given it another shot later in the day. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. A lot of weakness and now just building a base of support down at the lows. So there's a lot of action here in the mid to low $48 range. We have a very clear double top of resistance on this hourly time frame, and we're on the verge of breaking the support. So that's why tomorrow is going to be important in the short term. And you can see if we do break these support levels, there's a little chunk down before the next support is, that's the technical term, a chunk of chart to go down for the next support of 46.20. So we'll see tomorrow morning. Pre-market should give us an indication. ACB saw some selling pressure today. It was the strongest name at the end of the day Friday. Had a good start. Nice gap up open. Anybody that swung it hopefully took a little bit of profits if they were a short-term trader. This is the range we're watching now, and we're going to expect an equilibrium. We have our high of 13.48, our low of 11.21. Looks like our lower high of 12.95. And if we pull back, we'll look for a higher low compared to 11.21. And 12.14 was the low of today's support. So 12.14 and then 11.21 would come next. That's pretty much it for ACB in terms of what we're watching. 4-hour time frame will give you a little bit more detail, but it's all about a tightening daily range currently. And this is another one where, similar to CGC, they're in tightening ranges on the daily that do still favor the bulls because they are still in uptrends. So if we can stay into this tightening range, as we do approach October 17th, we can still see bull breaks on the names that are close to their resistance. The percentage distance you are away from key resistance breaking is obviously very important. And names like APH are a lot further away than CGC and ACB currently are. So for ACB, we had that, or for APH, the clear bear break occurred at 1857, and we have now back tested and rejected from this resistance essentially twice. We opened right above it and then saw instant profit taking this morning. Look at the volume slowly dropping off here as interest is dropping off a little bit, in my opinion. Everybody that was going to buy pre the vote has done so. We had CNBC talking about it. Everybody heard about it. So now volume's dropping off. And I can see that with CGC. My normal trading position with CGC is having a lot more impact with market orders than it did just 2 weeks ago. So seeing it with liquidity differences as well. As far as resistance, anything under 2057 is a lower high on the daily. It looks like 1869 may be our new lower high, and we will call it that if we come down tomorrow and break 1737 support. After 1737, look at these supports the last 3 days. 47, 37, 42. If we lose those levels, a chunk of chart down to 1576 with a lack of space, or lack of support, I should say, in all of that space. CRON on the daily, gap up, open, and profit taking. So this was a good trade setup. This is a good example of a trader tip. When I was doing the video Friday, I said, this is a really good setup. This is one we want to watch on Monday. It's a very clear tightening pattern. We're going to look for the break, blah, blah, blah. So we had the gap up open. As soon as I see that gap up open, as far as I'm concerned, that setup is ruined, and I want nothing to do with it now. If I'm going to buy that gap up, I'm buying way higher than the bull break signal would have given me during regular trading. And obviously the bulls are a lot more extended, and we did nothing but see profit taking on that entire morning and afternoon. So that is a good example of just being able to walk away from the trade and just say, all right, on to the next one. This was another one where, this morning I had it written down that CRON was going to be a trade for me this morning. I saw the gap up open and I said, I'm not interested in that trade anymore. So, couple support levels to be watching. 1105 and 1082. 1082 is the big one. This could change the daily trend. If we set this little lower high and then break 1082, that shows a clear shift in momentum. Lack of support below 1082. 926 is the next clear level after that. Chunk of chart with space to the downside. TLRY, if you made an entry for the bulls on the daily inside bars and you are still holding, congratulations, but please be walking up a stop level because we are going to set a lower high on this daily chart and we are going to form an equilibrium, and I'm not going to eat 6 bananas because we are not going to get a new all-time high on this move. So we're looking for a lower high. It could happen at any point, and the first indication that the daily lower high has been set is that the hourly uptrend will be lost. So hourly key support from here is 152.25, and if we break that level, that is our first indication that our daily lower high has been set. So for me personally, if I were in this swing trade, I would be using 152.25 as my stop level at this point in time. And I might adjust that tomorrow morning depending on what pre-market does, but that's what stands out the most to me right now. As far as resistance goes, if the bulls can break 173.46, no resistance nearby. So 180, 190, psychological resistances. But we've seen 2 gap up opens in a row, and we've seen 4 green days in a row, and we've seen a 75+% move in the last 5 days. So keep all of that in mind when we know a tightening pattern is extremely likely to form. So now we have this trio of running names, all CBD related, I believe. First thing I want to say is, number one, I have not done any in-depth fundamental research into any of these companies. I'm going to be talking about experience from previous hype sectors, both MJ and crypto. And just keep that in mind. If you really are interested in the fundamentals of these companies, read the earnings reports, look up the share structure, look up the debt structure, look up the past of the officers if you really want to know what your investment is. So these names are running extremely strong right now. And we see this in sectors all the time. The leaders run, the traders who know what they're doing, cash out their profit, and then move to the next one. And they all are looking for the next one. And this happened in cryptocurrency for months and months. But we're seeing it now where they're jumping to these low cap, small share structure names, and they're running them really hard. And there's groups doing it. I mean, we don't do this at the Chart Guys, but if I talk to the Chart Guys tomorrow morning and said, all right, everybody, we're all going to get in this play, we would have enough capital to move the needle on some of these smaller names like this. So there are groups that do that, and that's what's going on in my opinion. So when you see these kind of moves, number one, we know the rug gets pulled out. We've seen it before on this chart a week ago. It just happened. We went from $10 down to $3.61 in 2 days, and now we're right back up. It's definitely unusual that we're right back up to these levels again and had that significant recovery. Usually you won't see that kind of recovery, but it's going to happen again. We are going to see the rug pulled out again. There's going to be a huge pullback in all these names that are running extremely unsustainably. And these are not the kind of companies that, you know, if you get in a bad position of CGC, you can talk yourself out of it and say, well, I'll just hold till we're green again, or I'll just hold for 3 years. It's not the same with these companies because we can't be sure. Again, I'm generalizing with these companies because I have not done fundamental research, but I'm just assuming because I've seen this happen before. I've seen, you know, companies with valuations that they have no business having. We've seen it, of course, with TLRY. Anyways, that's my words of caution, right? Walk up your stop loss. Don't make dumb entries that have extremely high risk and low reward, and be extremely cautious out there. So looking at extended hours at this point, NBEV has new all-time highs, and it ran all the way up over $10. So we're going to use the extended hours looking at tomorrow morning, but now we're looking to establish a higher low on the hourly. Someone just bought over $10, and they're down 7% in no time. So again, a lot of caution. When we lose the hourly uptrend, we're going to look for daily consolidation. So hourly higher low is very likely to form compared to 681. We'll see what tomorrow brings. 1020, 1050, 11 psychological resistance levels. But again, do not give in to the FOMO. Do not chase these names. The only way I would play any of these names at this point is if you give me a very clear equilibrium with a very clear stop loss level and playing that break. IGC, way overextended. This is an absurd move, and it's going to end poorly for a lot of people. So looking at resistance, we have none. So psychological levels, 924. Let's see what we were doing after hours. Continuation. Again, these names are being run intentionally. We know if we said to the chart guys, hey, everybody, let's buy after hours on these names, we could do this as well. So anybody can be running this move after hours and bringing the price up 30%. And they're probably just doing so that they can sell at the open at a higher price, whether it's tomorrow or whenever. So again, just extreme caution. Support right now at this point, 742, and we're looking to form a higher low compared to that level. 1275, 13 psychological resistance. LEVB, not as extended, definitely a big bull move, 50%, but more than that. Big volume behind it. We just got to be cautious. We just pulled back from 768 to 340. So again, the rug does get pulled out. Let's see what after hours was doing. Just a straight shot up, and all being run together, all three of these names. Anything on the hourly above 462 is a higher low. Resistance is 745, 750, 60, 70, 80, 90, $8. Psychological resistance levels. Again, I would be nowhere near playing these names bullish at this point, but you know some people are going to do it, and you know a lot of people are going to get burned, and you know that they're going to rationalize with themselves on why they should hold. And then how many people out there get stuck in a position and then do the fundamental research, and then they try and convince themselves, oh, well, I'll hold because this, and this. Oh, they got this project, and I'm looking at this news now. That happens all the time, and I know it does because I did it 6 years ago too. So that's where we stand heading into tomorrow. I appreciate you all watching. Key support test on CGC. Appreciate any crowdfunding, donations, if you appreciate the free content, and I hope you have a good night. Generalizing. That's what I'm doing.